Hey guys, this is the Kentucky Fathers Podcast. I wanted to share something with you. Hopefully, what I'm sharing with you will help some of you fathers who have to go to family court. And this is family court. I'm not talking about divorce court, I'm talking about family court. Let me share this with you. This is what happened to me. I was called into court and I was put on the stand by my ex wife's attorney. His last name was Troutman. And he showed me some phone records. And he said, Mr. Severs, is this your phone number? He highlighted these numerous phone calls that were made to my wife. At the time, I was living in Louisville and she was living up in northern Kentucky. And he said, is this your phone number? I said, yes, it is. And he said, are you sure? And he said, yeah, that's definitely my phone number. He said, but I didn't make all these phone calls. He said, but it shows that you made these different phone calls, including some that were like 1 or 2 in the morning. And I said, well, that is my phone number, but I did not make that number of phone calls. I didn't do that. So basically what he was trying to say is that I was harassing my wife. And I guess the harassment was trying to reach my daughter, and I do recall making phone calls that day. And my ex-wife, as usual, she wouldn't pick up. She wouldn't let me know where my daughter was, wouldn't let me communicate with my daughter. So I stopped. But as far as those number of phone calls and some of them being, again, 1 and 2 in the morning, I was astounded. But it was my phone number, and it was her AT&T phone bill, something like that. It was a phone bill, it was a legitimate phone bill. And I just told the truth. And he kept saying, well, how is it that this bill is saying this with all these, your number on here? You acknowledge this is your number, and yet you're here on the stand saying that it's not, you didn't make these calls. And I said, sir, I don't know, but I didn't make these calls. Now, here was one thing that was interesting. My ex-wife was not in court. All the other times my ex-wife would pull me into court, she would be there. This time she was not there. So this time she did not take the stand and swear under oath about what she was presenting to the court. But I was on the stand. I swore. I took the oath. I swore, hey, that is my number, but I didn't make all those calls. So I came out of that court absolutely stunned. I was stunned. And I didn't know what to do. So I called a buddy of mine. He said, look, man, go to your carrier, because your carrier can confirm if indeed you make those calls. So I went to my phone carrier. What was it? I went to my phone carrier, and they ran whatever they did. They ran the records, and they said, sir, you did not make all those phone calls. These are the calls you made. There were like literally 2 or 3 reasonable. They were made during reasonable times, like 2 or 3. And that was it. And I said, are you guys going to swear to that? They said, sir, you bring in, what do they call that? Notarized statement. Absolutely. We'll swear to this. We're telling you did not make those calls. So I went to my phone carrier not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it was a notarized statement, the whole bit. So then I took it to the court, but by that time it was too late. The judge had made a decision. And the courier, my phone courier, kept saying to me, sir, we don't know. We don't care what your wife and her attorney are saying as far as her records are concerned. Our records are clearly showing these are the times you called. And I didn't do it just on those days. I mean, I did a whole month. And nothing unusual about the number of phone calls at all. So later on, my sister explained to me, she said, Corbin, don't you know that sometimes people can call somebody, they can put in another person's phone number. So someone called her and they put in your number, and your number would show up as a number calling. And I said, oh my God, you mean she would go to that extent to, it's like committing fraud. And she said, yeah, she said, obviously she did it or someone else did it. So the judge made his decision. I took this. Of course, he ruled against me, and that was the beginning of my wife being able to successfully take away my parenting time with my daughter, with our daughter. Folks, I did not want to change in custody, in physical custody. I did not want to change in physical custody. I just wanted time with my daughter, and I wanted more time with my daughter. I was trying to see if I couldn't get more time. But that was it. But my wife, she flipped out and her and her attorney went to that extent to prevent that from happening. And not only prevent that from happening, but to take away joint custody and therefore have it 100% in her hands as to if and when I'm able to see my daughter. That's the extent they went. Now, I took this matter to the Louisville Bar Association. They said, hey, we'll check into this. And they checked into it, and they came back and they said, well, we understand your concerns, but we've made no ruling against this attorney. I spoke to another attorney, and the other attorney said to me, number one, he said, the other attorney I talked to about the matter, he said they weren't going to do anything to him. And then he said, secondly, you had to be able to prove that when the attorney presented that false information in court, that he knew it was false. That he knew it was false. And so since she wasn't there, and then three, since she wasn't there, she couldn't be held accountable for what she did. He said her not being in court that one time was probably deliberate. Folks, here's what I learned. Don't trust those attorneys. I mean, just don't trust them. And two, don't go pro se. I mean, I was representing myself. I didn't have the money to hire an attorney. There are times attorneys would talk to me, for a few minutes, and they would explain things to me, but I couldn't afford for them to represent me. So one lesson you should learn from that, don't assume that people won't lie. They will lie. Those so-called professionals, they will lie. And they'll lie if they can get away with it. And they can get away with it. Two, they don't give a flip. The family court system is corrupt. All those judges, black, white, I don't care. Female, male, I don't care. They're corrupt. They don't give a flip about you in time with your children. They don't give a flip about you. That's not their concern. And they're going to get paid whether you get to see your child or not. And then another thing I learned, it doesn't matter about child support. You pay child support and you can still be prevented from seeing your child. Those are two separate issues. And I was told that repeatedly. Those are two separate issues. Oh, yeah, you're paying child support. That's all fine and good. Oh, you're having difficulty in getting parenting time, having time with your child. Your spouse is engaging in parental alienation. Well, you got to go to this court system and deal with that. Those are two separate things. They don't care. If you stop paying child support because you're upset, you don't get to spend time with your child, your flesh and blood, your legacy, your seed, they don't care. They'll still come after you, garnish your wage, throw you in jail, whatever. They don't care. The family court system is corrupt to the hilt. Make no bones about that. The best thing you can do is you better find the money for that attorney, for an attorney to represent you. And you better make sure that attorney acts like a pit bull, acts like a snapping turtle, acts like a hungry tiger, and put that situation on lockdown. Guys, don't go in there trying to get revenge against the ex or anything like that. I had no problem. I have no anger or nothing against my ex. Trust me on that. I just wanted to be a father to my baby. I love my child to death. And up to that time, I think it was up to the time we were 15, my baby and I did all sorts of stuff together. All sorts of stuff together. My child, her nicknames for me were Old Faithful. And she said, Daddy, I know you're going to come pick me up. I remember one time it was a storm, and Sarah, I said, Sarah, it was a bad storm. I mean, it was bad. Heavy snow, ice, and I had to go from Louisville up to northern Kentucky. It's about an hour. I said, Sarah, you still want Daddy to come pick you up? It's my scheduled time to pick her up. She said, yeah, Daddy. I said, well, it's sort of storming pretty bad out here. She said, well, Daddy, I was sort of looking forward to it. I said, okay. So I went on up there. It took me 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And, the road conditions were that bad. And I picked her up, brought her back to Louisville. And on the way back, she said, Mama said to me that it's real bad. And she can understand if you wouldn't want to drive in the storm. And, Mama was okay with you picking me up at another time. She would just tell her attorney that it was okay that you get me another time. I said, well, baby, why didn't you tell me that? She said, Daddy, I knew you were going to come up and get me anyway. And I just laughed because, yeah, that's true. I just wanted to be with my baby, guys. And many of you fathers, you're the same way. Man, if you got to go through a storm, that's what you're going to do to see your baby. That's what you're going to do. Whatever it takes to be with your children. I know you guys have that same attitude. And don't let that corrupt family court system in Jefferson County keep you from spending time with your child. That's it. Get as much time as you can with your child. Don't let them keep you from doing that. And, my ex, she went to the point where she presented false evidence in court. And I prove it was false evidence, but her attorney was never held to account. She was never held to account. And even if I had, quote unquote, proven it, it's the family court system. They didn't care. They said, oh, well, so what? What can we do? It's done. But guys, don't give up. Don't give up fighting corruption. Never give up fighting corruption. Where would we be? Where would a lot of nations be today? A lot of people be today if they just rolled over when it comes to fighting corruption. You should be single-minded in purpose. And your single-mindedness should be about being with your child as much as possible, being in their lives as much as possible. I'm going through whatever obstacles it took, whether it be a corrupt attorney, a corrupt family court system, or a bad storm. Your child should know in their heart and their mind, hey, my daddy's going to do whatever it takes. And then you guys do that. So I just wanted to share that with you. I hope some of you, learn from that. I hope some of you get some encouragement from that. Just continue, guys. Just continue. Do everything you can do to be a father. Because let me tell you something. Your children, your sons, your daughters, they do want to be with you. They do want that. And sometimes that parent, they can be an alienating parent. They could talk bad about you, have their friends talk bad about you. They can discourage you they can discourage your child in so many ways about wanting to be with you and expressing love and support for you. That's parental alienation. Go to YouTube and put in parental alienation or put in a Ryan Thomas. Ryan Thomas, he was a victim of parental alienation. He talked about how his mother lied about his father and how his aunt did the same thing. They did everything they could do psychologically for him to sever contact with his father, but he always wanted contact with his father. He just couldn't express it, because if he did express it, as he put it, the regime would come down on him. Parental alienation is real, and it's about manipulation and control. But what was great with Ryan Thomas, he kept saying he knew his father wanted to see him, and he knew his father would do everything he could do to try to see him, regardless of how the corrupt system stood in his way. These social workers, man, there's some racist idiots, anti-father to the hilt. But through it all, man, I just kept on and kept on and kept on and kept on. And I'm encouraging you guys to do the same thing. Because when it's all said and done, you can only be held to account for what you do. You can't control anybody else, but you can control yourself. And when you're going to be held to account for what you do or what you didn't do. And what I'm encouraging you guys to do, hey, you just stand on that, whether it be the witness stand or whatever, and you just tell the truth. You just tell the flat out truth. Yes, that's my number. No, I didn't make those calls. Your Honor, I just want to see my baby. That's it. That's all I want. I'm not trying to harass the mother. I'm not trying to get back with the mother. I'm not trying to mess up her marriage or anything. I just want to see my baby. Guys, let me tell you something. My ex-wife, man, she wouldn't talk to me about my child. But after a while, her husband would. Her husband would talk to me about my child, about my baby. He was giving me updates and all. And there was some information he shared with me, and he said, don't you tell them I gave this to you. And to this day, I haven't revealed certain things that he's told me and he's given me. Because he said, he began to realize, hey, man, this guy is no threat to me. He doesn't want to get back with his ex-wife. He don't want to mess up my marriage or anything like that. He just wants to see his daughter. And that's true. That's all it was. But I was consistently going to him, and he would talk to me whenever he could. He'd come out and talk to me about my child. He knew that's the only reason why I'd be there. But my ex-wife wouldn't. And the ideal situation is you want to co-parent. That means, yeah, I'm no longer with you. We're no longer together. That's fine and cool. But we still have a daughter together. We still have a son together. And we should be civil enough towards one another to talk about our child. That's it. And my ex-wife to this day, she's not there. But hey, there's nothing I can do about that. Nothing I can do about that. I just keep on. I just want to encourage you guys. Just keep on, guys. Just keep doing what you can do. Keep doing what you can do. On my website, I have a web page called Book Talk with Corbin, CORBIN.com, Book Talk with Corbin. And there's some good books I talk about on fathers, on fatherhood, and I talk about parental alienation. So I want to encourage you guys to go to that website and write down the titles of those books and check them out. And I just want to say to you again, brothers, I'm with you. I'm with you. I love all you fathers, and I'm with you, and I want to encourage you. Your children do need you. I don't care what these social workers tell you, these family court people, these attorneys tell you. Your children need you. They not only want to have a relationship with you, they need to have a relationship with you. And you guys just keep on keeping on.